Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today at the Philadelphia Flyers. My guys, the Broad Street Bullies. You guys have been eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs. Talk about a down season in Philly. I mean, I remember the expectations last summer. You bring in Rasmus Ristolainen, Ryan Ellis. You know, there's all this hope around the Flyers organization, and it just comes crashing down here this season as they are about to miss the playoffs for two consecutive seasons for the first time since 1994, where they missed the playoffs for four straight seasons. Every year since then, it's been 2 decades since that's happened. They were consistently making the playoffs during the Lindros era. Trying to think of the other eras, even the 2000 teams, the Simon Gagne teams, once Giroux got in here, think about that. Since Giroux has come into the Flyers, they have never missed the playoffs for two straight seasons. That's just mind blowing, and that's really, that's pretty impressive when you think about it. The Flyers are a very stable organization in that sense. The problem is, though, they've never really had that. They've only had really one glimmer of that success in 2010 when they went to the Stanley Cup final and Patrick Kane ended their dreams in overtime in Philly. And that was the Blackhawks. Really, that was the Blackhawks' first cup that got them to the point where they became the dynasty that we know they were through the 2010s. So, unfortunately, the Flyers really, since then, have never really rebounded. They make the playoffs, they lose in the first round, second round to either the Flyers, I'd hope they're not losing to themselves, the Penguins, the Capitals, the Rangers, all these foes in their division, and the Devils. They were just never able to get away from those teams because they were all just better. And the Flyers were one of those teams that consistently makes the playoffs, but they just couldn't get to that next step. Unfortunately, the Flyers are maybe at a point where they need a step back in order to take that 2 or 3 steps forward. And we're seeing that right now with this team that, like I said, has been pretty good overall. They made, like I said, in the past 13 seasons, they've made the playoffs 7 times. So fairly consistent in that regard. And, you compare them to the other teams I've already talked about. The Coyotes have made the playoffs once in the past decade. There's other teams out there you look at. Trying to remember who I made the video about. The Canadians, they have not had the most success in the playoffs. So, at least the Flyers have been getting themselves there, going to the postseason, going to the playoffs. But again, at the end of the day, it's not about just making the playoffs. That's participation trophy expectations. They, especially in Philly, they have high expectations. They want a team that's going to win and going to win a lot and maybe go to the Stanley Cup Finals. I know last year the expectations were high. They went to the first round. They, won their first round series. They go to the second round. They meet those Islanders that just kind of nipping at their heels, kind of coming out of nowhere. And that, the Flyers probably could have won the cup in the past 2 years. I honestly think if COVID was not there, I think the Flyers maybe could have won it in 2020. They kind of got screwballed in the bubble. And then in 2021, it was just kind of more of the same stuff. And it just, again, it's just one of those things where the Flyers just, the expectations from 2020 were set, and the last 2 years they haven't been able to get anywhere near that. So it just seems like an utter disaster, or was that them just overachieving in 2020? I guess it's a combination of both. Now, Carter Hart has not been at that same level he was back in 2020, and I think a lot of that could be pointed to the defense not being good enough. Misfortune, honestly. I think the Islanders and the Flyers were one of those teams, though those two teams in particular got really beat up by COVID. I think, you look at even this season, they've gotten, a lot of games taken away from them that they had to make up in a short amount of time in January. I just don't think that helped the issue. They have a lot of guys coming up from Lehigh Valley that probably aren't ready to come up to the Flyers, and they were coming up in December and January, and it just didn't seem like they were ready. There's been a lot of promise around a lot of those guys. Jerry Mayhew was up here. Those are guys that you're not gonna get what you want in terms of being a good enough team that can consistently win. And I'm not pointing out Jerry Mayhew. I mean, you had Isaac Ratcliffe coming up a couple times. Jackson and Noah Cates coming up a couple times. Max Willman has been up and down. Like, those are guys that you're hoping can come into the future and be hopefully a focal point of the Flyers in the future, just not right now, because they were missing guys like Farabee, Couturier, on the back end, Ryan Ellis. You know, you can only sustain so many injuries before things kind of blow up in your face. And I think that's partially what happened. The goaltending has looked better since last season. I think Martin Jones and Hart have been better. I mean, they were historically bad last season, but they did improve. So I guess there's something to look at there. I always have questions about Chuck Fletcher as the GM. I just don't know how sold I would be on this guy. You know, he was a scout with the Ducks and the Panthers. Inevitably went to Pittsburgh, where really he got his fame from. He left a couple months before the Penguins won their first cup. I think it was 2010 or 2012, somewhere around there. You guys will correct me, I'm sure. But then Chuck Fletcher goes to Minnesota and was never really that successful in Minnesota. And then he gets another opportunity here in Philadelphia, and it just doesn't seem like he's putting together a winner. A very questionable signing already, bringing back Rasmus Ristolainen on a 5 or 7 year deal, something like that. Sign him to a long-term deal. I mean, they're talking about maybe trading Travis Sanheim. His numbers in terms of the analytical community are way better than Rasmus Ristolainen. So you just look at little things here and there that you're like, you really are starting to question, is Chuck Fletcher the right guy? And as they're kind of going, committing here, they're going to have a top 10 pick. Do they really want Chuck Fletcher taking that top 10 selection? God knows if it's a lottery pick. What if they draft 1, 2, or 3? Now you're going to have Chuck Fletcher, who, maybe doesn't have the best track record. Is that something you really want to be doing? So, again, I know some people will say, well, he brought in Jason Zucker. He brought in Matt Dumba. He did bring in some good players in Minnesota. Jordan Greenway, right? All those guys. But I'm questioning some of the moves. He's going to have money this summer as Giroux is no longer on the team, so they're going to have money there. Do they bring back Giroux? Do they move forward in a non-Giroux franchise? Is that even possible, right? So those are the questions that the Flyers are going to have to ask themselves. They got beat up by the injury bug, like I said, definitely hurt them. But really the big stat this year was them missing the playoffs for 2 consecutive seasons. That is not the standard in Philadelphia, and it's becoming a reality here in 2022. So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Which big free agent is Chuck Fletcher going to overpay for this summer? What kind of moves do you expect them to make? Do they need another defenseman? Do they need a scoring winger? Or did they already address that with Owen Tippett? Do they need to look at another goaltender option behind Carter Hart? Maybe a little bit more sustainable than a Martin Jones. Let me know what you guys think. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.